Hello everyone, and welcome to my final pass for Tenacity. Tenacity is a three-dimensional top-down cooperative game in which players defend a central base against waves of oncoming computer-controlled enemies. A player's goal in Tenacity is to become strong enough to push back against the enemies and destroy their spawns. Tenacity is unique because it utilizes the popular MOBA control scheme to create an experience designed around cooperation. In Tenacity, games are formed with up to 4 players. Each player is given a blank hero template, and players will take turns picking skills from a skill pool until all players have 4 skills. Players must work together to create a team with balanced strengths and weaknesses. While the amount of available lanes and their arrangement on the map will vary from level to level, in the primary map that the game is designed around, there are 3 main lanes. At the end of each of these lanes is a spawn location, which is where the enemies begin each wave before marching towards the player's base. The waves that attack the base will be made up of 3 enemies, which will be given statistical changes as they become more powerful. Experience is important in Tenacity, so it's critical that each player, whether they are damage dealers or healers, find ways to earn enough experience to level up so that they can upgrade their skills. Additionally, killing the waves is not the only way players can earn experience. Each level will include at least one scripted event, which players may test themselves against whenever they feel up to the challenge. These events can offer stat upgrades to players that succeed in them. After players have become strong enough to push back the attacking waves, their penultimate task is to destroy the spawners at the end of each lane. Once this is done, the player's final challenge is to defeat a singular boss enemy, which will be chosen randomly from a list of 3. If a player dies, they will be revived after a short respawn period. If at any point their base is destroyed, the players will be defeated. Tenacity shares similarities with elements of minigames. The controls, for instance, are going to be very similar to any other MOBA on the market, as is the leveling progression. The combat pacing, however, might be more similar to a game like Diablo 3. Contrasting these points are the fact that there are no MOBAs on the market that focus primarily on a cooperative PvE experience, and that Diablo is strictly about progression in the long term, whereas Tenacity is broken into discrete rounds lasting 20 to 30 minutes. Risks to this idea are the amount of assets that need to be produced. From a design standpoint, there is a significant amount of skills to be created and balanced. In order to create a dynamic and interesting game, I believe it would be necessary to design at least 28 skills. This will take up most of our development time, but may be a strength because the effort that goes into the system will determine the success of the game. Another risk is in the fact that the game is multiplayer, and we have a limited amount of time for testing and no back-end resources. Mitigating this is that I have experience designing multiplayer games, having previously worked on both real-time and asynchronous multiplayer systems. The design would also utilize player-hosted listen servers rather than maintaining its own dedicated servers. The final risk is that the gameplay might not be engaging for players over a long period of time. I plan to minimize this risk by making changes based on feedback during testing, as well as considering a shift in focus from wave management to the level events if that's the more successful route to take. Once again, this has been Elijah Chapman, and I hope you've enjoyed my brief overview of Tenacity.